This is Eldensvuaght. Very similar to Earth, although different in many ways. Its biology and the shape of the continents are different. Dinosaurs and man live alongside each other. Greenland is malshapen and actually green, and Iceland is actually covered in ice. The British Isles do not exist, and Italy is a lot more of a boot shape. The Arabian Peninsula is completely underwater, only being a handful of islands. And Africa is more or less separated from the rest of the world, with Madagascar being attached to it. These are some of the many differences between Eldensvuaght and its very similar planet, Earth. In our world, and on our planet, dragons are myth. If you say you've seen a dragon, people will call you a crackpot. But here on Eldensvuaght, they are very common and are some of the most dominant forms of life. But not all of these dragons are from Earth. As you can see, some of them have 2 wings and 2 legs, while others have 4 legs and 2 wings. They are from space. Similar to the concept of panspermia, they were sent here to Earth to colonize it, to reshape in it. Not much is known about what sent these hexapodal dragons to Earth, but they are clearly a civilization, likely with 6 legs, and they want to transform the universe around them via panspermia. They merge their alien organisms with those of other planets, which is why the bioweapons, for lack of a better term, they send to other planets have traits from both their world and ours. They adapt to our ecosystem and then destroy it. So their masters from the stars can descend and transform their barren planet into a paradise tailored for them, at the cost of every living thing that once previously called that planet home. Or at least, that is the intention. Occasionally, a planet will be able to bounce back from an invasion, shrug off the onslaught of invasive species who quickly adapt to every attempt to drive them out. The hexapodal dragons, or space dragons, use various chemicals in a gizzard. You could call it an elemental gizzard if you'd like. The chemicals mix together, but normally they would only smolder and spark and smoke. But under pressure, they create a violent reaction, and depending on the chemicals, this either makes an explosion of fire or a bolt of lightning. But Earth has had its own population of dragons that could wield lightning wyverns, or lightning spitters, whichever you would prefer, are descendants of pterosaurs. They have an organ close to their spinal column that's able to generate electricity via the nervous system and connects to various small spines that normally line the wyvern's body. This allows it to generate an electrical current and then spit this lightning out of its mouth and use it as a weapon. But Earth has made its own fire breather. It uses 2 gases, one stored in the fenestra in its skull, and one stored in a sac within its throat. Its face and neck will inflate when it is about to use its fire breath. The 2 gases alone do nothing, but when mixed together, cause an explosion, allowing the animal to breathe fire. A second clade of fire-breathing dragons exists on Earth. However, unlike their cousins, they use a liquid that reacts with oxygen and ignites. This liquid is stored in a pouch in its throat, and since it is a liquid, once it ignites, it can rain down upon whatever is being shot at. The hexapodal dragons have not only the singular body plan of 2 wings, 4 legs, they also have a more primitive body plan of 6 legs, sort of like an insect. As stated previously, both fire-breathing dragons are contained within Dinosauria, with the Pyroavians being the dragons that are descended from birds, and the Euwyvernians being the dragons that split off from Saurischians and basal theropods and use gas to create their fire. On Eldensvuaght, pterosaurs also evolved into dragons, containing 3 main groups: Rhamphorhynchoids, pterodactyloids, and pseudo-wyvernians. And these created the lightning dragons of Earth. And only one group, which is a lot more derived than their cousins, can actually fly, while their more primitive cousins can only glide, similar to a flying squirrel, but both can harness lightning. The space dragon's cladogram is less natural and less convoluted. This is because they are artificial bioweapons for the most part. Some of their more basal members have adapted to Eldensvuaught's oceans, and both groups of the lightning space dragons and the fire space dragons have evolved bipedalism along with quadrupedalism and hexapodism, meaning that both groups have examples of 4 legs and 2 wings, or 2 legs and 2 arms and 2 wings, or 6 legs. But the dragons aren't the only ones who call Eldensvuaght home. They have many creatures who live alongside them. These drawings aren't exactly drawn to scale, so no, there aren't warthogs the size of elephants, although that would be undeniably cool. But there are warthogs, elephants, wolves, cats, felids that are comparable to the machairodonts of old Earth, and an offshoot of those saber-toothed cats, which have evolved armor like a pangolin. This is due to a difference in diet. The more traditional felids hunt more traditional food, like buffalo or antelope, or birds, and the more armored felids hunt dragons. Dinosaurs also live here, as you can see by the Pachycephalosaurus in the bottom right corner. There are also many other animals that have survived for long periods of time on Earth, such as sharks. You can also see a vulture and a human. Humans have lived on Eldensvuaght for longer than they've lived on Earth, but they have advanced much slower. The humans on Eldensvuaght at this current point in time are in an Iron Age, and they've rediscovered and then lost the technology of welding and using iron weapons several times. They've existed for 600,000 years on this planet. They have culture, they fight wars, they tell stories, they have different religions, just like the humans of Earth. However, they inhabit a world ruled by dragons. Eldensvuaght has been dealing with its invasion from space for approximately 3 million years. The dragons from Earth have been living here for an insanely long time. Many of them are what we would call living fossils, although many of them are also struggling to adapt. Many species will one day be extinct, and that day is sometime soon for many of them. This is the first video in a video series exploring the biology and world of Eldensvuaght. In this video series, we will cover the many cultures and religions of this world and the many creatures that inhabit it. So please, stay tuned and subscribe if you enjoyed this content.